Hello out there in Radio Land. This is Amanda Whittemore with the Quality Living Peaceful Support Show. And we are here in the radio station and everyone is welcome to join us. We're essentially located right near the Black Trumpet. And so we do these shows and we do them for the reason of giving a little bit more detail, a little bit more information to different segments or different parts of our world that are important to us. And sometimes we see somebody at Fred Meyer's and we're in and out on our way to do dinner, or we got to get to work and we want to sit down and hear what everyone has to say, but we don't always have a second to do it. So here we are in the station and we do exactly that. We give people a quality moment to talk about all the things important with them and with our community, especially in Curry County. And guests are welcome to call 541-661-4098. And also, all of our guests, all of our listeners, please do email contact@kciw.org with questions or with ways to donate or sponsor, because of course this is an entirely volunteer and donation-based radio program. And as are most of the things that we do here in Brookings. And so here we are tonight with Ron Schnearson. He is the Committee on Public Art. He's with the Committee on Public Arts Program. And hey, Ron.
Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Glad you had a moment to make it into the studio.
Yeah, anytime for you.
All right. Yeah, we're doing things. And hopefully it's okay to say that it is so important, all the volunteer work that we do. I see you at the city council meetings, and I wish our town was there.
I highly recommend it. I always learn something at the city council meetings. If nothing else, you learn that the leadership there, again, all volunteer, they're doing a fabulous job.
Absolutely. Yeah. Glad to have
I really appreciate them.
Yeah. And so, tell us about the Committee on Public Art.
Well, it's a relatively new venture, if you will. Let me start by saying that I love our town. There is just so many cool aspects of Brookings.
Yeah.
And I've only been here about 4 years, but my wife Laura and I, we purchased a house in 2017, and we were coming up a few times a year, and we would drive from Southern California, and we always just made it in one shot, and it was like a 13-hour drive.
Oh.
We joke that we did NASCAR stops. We just stopped as little as possible, and it's like, I'll pump gas, you go to the bathroom, when you come back, you fit, I'll go, and we're out of there. Still, it was like 12 and a half, 13 hours. Bit of a grueling drive. Mm-hmm. And whenever we'd make it over the last chance grade and into Crescent City, and we knew we're almost there. Mm. And when we would come over the bridge, the Chetco Bridge, and get into town, it was just always just kind of a wonderful warmth, like a long, warm embrace. I
Totally.
like to say, I made it, and we're back. And I just loved that about that time in my life, and the feeling that I really want to share with other people. I want people that are coming to Brookings that maybe otherwise would just be driving through, to really feel like, there's something really special here. And, I want them to know the identity of Brookings and really, what we have to offer.
Absolutely.
And, who we are as a people.
Mm-hmm. As a community, and it's especially surrounded with all this nature that we have.
A lot of nature and a lot of different activities and a lot of history, a lot of really cool history that, a lot of people aren't aware of.
Very true.
And so we have a lot to share. And I want to do that through art. And, I didn't really realize I was going to be doing this until one day I was going to Chetco Point, which is, a gem of our city. Mm-hmm. For those that haven't been there, I highly recommend you go check out Chetco Point. It's right there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just gorgeous. And I was there one day with my dog, and voila, there was this big sculpture there.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, it just showed up,
Yeah.
and it's really cool. And that's
unannounced.
the two rivers and the heart of the ocean is what that's called.
Ooh.
Beautiful piece.
Yeah.
And I was just so pleasantly surprised to see that. And it just kind of spoke to me. And I thought, I want more of that in town.
Oh, yeah.
And, maybe I can go to one of those city council meetings and tell them to do that.
Right. Yes.
So I did.
Okay.
Last year, April, I thought, I'm gonna speak at the city council meeting. So I was a little nervous, as one tends to be when you speak in front of the city council. And but I talked to them about public art and all the benefits of public art. And my intention was, isn't this a great idea? You guys should do this. And I quickly learned.
Facilitating 101.
Well, pretty much, if you want it to happen, you got to be the champion.
100%.
And that was made pretty clear to me that, if I want to see this happen, I got to be the guy that steps up.
Especially if you introduce the idea.
Yeah. Congratulations. You're in charge.
You win.
Yeah. So I got busy. And, the first thing I did is I found out who the artist was and who was behind getting that piece at Chetco Point in place. And it turned out it was actually a friend that I was golfing with. I was talking to him about how cool this piece was. And he said, "Oh, that's mine. That was my vision. And I made that happen. I have a friend that's an artist, and he lives in Montana, and so on and so forth." And I ended up talking to him, Rob Decker, who's the initial person that envisioned this piece, and Lee Proctor is the artist. I talked to him at length about public art and how to make it happen, and he gave me a quick download on it. And I just kind of hit the ground running and started learning, like, what do I need to do, and who should I be partnering with? And I was able to put together a really cool team of people. Mary Stanford, who was, at the time, she was the president of the Manly.
Okay, right.
So we have kind of the artist community represented. Stacy Gunderson, she's with the Oregon Coast Visitors Association. And, she's all about improving the experience of the coast and very connected with the agencies all throughout the state. Michelle Boobert, who runs our Chamber of Commerce. So, we want to make sure we're engaging the business community.
Yes.
And I wanted to get someone with the city, because I know we're going to need city resources. We're talking about allocating property for sculptures and other artworks. And turns out our new city manager, Tim Rundle, was into it. So, he's on the committee as well.
Epic.
So we have a pretty good team, and we've met a few times and did a lot of emailing and talking and brainstorming, and we came up with a mission, which is essentially to strengthen the cultural, social, economical vitality of the city, and projecting a unique Brookings identity and place in history by expanding a collection of city-owned artwork. And also having a recurring consignment art. And so, that's kind of the mission, but we're really focused on our first piece. We want to do, one thing at a time.
Right, yeah.
So we have a location picked out, which is right on the 101, just as you come over the bridge, right where the Botanical Gardens is. It'll actually be on Botanical Gardens grounds, just off the sidewalk. So when you are traveling north over the bridge and you see this sculpture, the objective there is to give you that same warm embrace that I experienced, that other people can experience that as well.
Absolutely.
I think we can accomplish a lot of things at the same time with this sculpture. that welcoming feeling that we want people to experience. We can also kind of identify, you're in Brookings now and kind of what we're about, and also kind of honor the people that made our city what it is and the people that came before. So, really want to honor, the Native American, the Chetco people, and the Native American people in the region. And so we have kind of this overarching, objective. And now we're going to do, call out to artists and see what kind of concepts we get back. So with these kind of descriptors of what our objectives are, and see what we can get from the artists, and then, decide on a particular piece.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, so it's exciting. One of the things that we have to do before we reach out to artists is come up with a budget. And so now it's, okay, where's the money going to come from? So we have a lot of options, and we're going to start doing the outreach to see, if there is some funds available, whether it's from state agencies, local tribes, and also just individual contributors. So, I set up a GoFundMe page.
Okay.
And, I'm hoping that there's people out there that want to see public art in Brookings, and they're willing to, put some money behind this effort.
Absolutely.
So, GoFundMe.com/Brookings Public Art is our spot. And so,
Perfect.
Yeah, if people go to that website, you'll have the opportunity to donate. All that money will go to the city budget specifically for these art pieces, specifically right now for this one art piece. And hoping we can get a substantial amount of money to create a real impactful piece. So we kind of have like one shot at this, and we've got to really, make it something special.
Sensational.
Yeah. And if we do this right, then we can start building a little momentum and have another piece and another piece. And what we'd like to do is kind of have these kind of what I would call anchor points in the city, both ends of the city, in the middle, and a little bit in between, incorporate railroad as well. And then we could start working on the consignment pieces. And for those, we wouldn't just be spending much money. It would be very nominal. And actually, the artist would be funding the piece in hopes of selling it. And then the city would get a percentage of that sale price back to go back into more artwork.
Absolutely.
So that's the vision.
Yeah, so art in the great outdoors in the greater city of Brookings, Brookings would become the gallery.
That's right. And there's, a lot of beauty here. So, maybe having something that catches a driver's eye and, it kind of speaks to them would get them to really understand there's a lot more here. We're not just a city you want to pass through and shrug your shoulders. There's something to be seen and experienced here.
Especially at the Brookings Garden Center, the garden club right there. There's a huge parking spot that most people aren't familiar with, but when you turn right there towards Azalea Park and you just turn left, there's a huge parking lot. And if they see something that catches their eye and it's sensational, then they pull over, they park, they get out, they enjoy the garden, and then they might as well have lunch and stay the night. And
That's right. Do some shopping while you're here. Yeah, the Botanical Gardens is really a wonderful place, and the people that work there, the volunteers there, some of them have been there for decades, and they, I've learned, have, built that place from a dirt lot, and it's really something to behold now. It's a great experience.
I hear that Elmo Williams, the great director, filmmaker, actually had something to do with that and the Azalea Garden. I could be wrong, but that's what they tell me. They do have the Elmo bust up in the Azalea Garden, and they say that they started with a little project and it became this huge park.
Well, Sharon Johnson is the president of the Garden Club, and I'll spread the word, have her come by and talk to you about it, and I'm sure she would love to talk to you about it more.
Absolutely, the whole history. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And so, what exactly, as you guys were driving, and just that sensation when you and your wife were driving from LA up here, were there any connections or ties, or was it just something that you did to get some alleviation from the LA world?
Well, we first learned about Brookings from family.
Okay.
So we had a family friend that was here, and my wife was coming to visit, and she came on her own at first, and then she called me and said, it's pretty idyllic here. I think we should come back up together, and you got to check this out.
Yeah.
And she was right.
Nice.
And I appreciate her for that.
Yes, absolutely. And on the Quality Living with Peaceful Support show, we're talking with Ron Schnearson with the Committee on Public Art. And anyone who has questions or would like to participate in any way, shape, or form, please call the KCIW radio station, 541-661-4098. Also, email is available, contact@kciw.org. We like to ask with this, like it speaks all the things quality living and peaceful support. However, to you, what does the word quality imply, or what does it feel like to you? What does it represent?
Well, I think about living kind of a life of quality, and I think in a perfect world, quality to me is balance. It's a balance between living for yourself and living for others. And, for oneself, there's also balance of, I guess how I spend my time, and I think about like things that I do for the mind, for the body and the soul. And all of those things, while they're all connected, I do kind of different things for each. But I think, I find the most satisfaction when I'm making an effort for others, whether it's a neighbor, that needs help, or doing something for the community. Especially if it's something lasting, then I could look and see over time, I was part of that. I made an effort, and now I'm seeing this effort, and to come to fruition. And I find that very satisfying. And to me, that's a quality life. If I can live the rest of my life that way, then I've had a quality life.
That is so precious.
Thank you.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Nice. With this community on public art and the vision that you have, when I'm listening to your goals and dreams and like the steps of activities to get to from here to there, and as you're talking about, first create this one piece of art that brings a sensation in this embracing gift to the town, and honor and acknowledge artists and have a different feeling in the area. There's so many, like you were saying, you're not sure where the money's going to come from or if there's going to be support. I watch a lot of grants go flying past all the time. Like there is billions of dollars, if not a minimum millions, available all the time, especially for the arts world and community and education and city improvements and all. Like, it's wild how many grants are out there. And then other organizations like the film festival and things like that are really into public education and awareness and involvement with the community. I see this being a huge achieved very well.
Yeah, the grants are out there, but as you know, with your work with the film festival and I'm sure other ventures, it takes time and effort, and you don't always get it, and so it's right now we're at we're just beginning this phase of the fundraising.
Okay.
And so definitely, Tim Rundle on his team, he has a wonderful grant writer, support person on the city staff, and we're hoping Wendy will be helping us with that, as well as Stacy. Stacy, I think is going to be very familiar also with the state agencies that give these funds, and again the Confederate tribes of the Stylets and others, maybe the Tuolumne Dee Nation. Also, we'll be reaching out. So, but I also, I think the people of Brookings should also, feel some ownership. This is for people of the city. And so I encourage people in the city to contribute, even if it's a few dollars. And, when you do contribute to GoFundMe, there's a little sliding scale of how much GoFundMe takes. So you can slide it to the right or all the way to the left. And, that's up to you. But, I do encourage people to go to the GoFundMe.com/Brookings Public Art website. And, if anyone has any questions, they could also email me directly at Brookings Public Art. Sorry, I said at. I want to say Brookings Public Art @gmail.com.
Perfect. Lovely. Yeah, it's a phenomenal. There's many towns, especially in Costa Rica and other places in the world, that have these beautiful exhibits, and they're just build memories, and it just does something different.
Yeah, well, you don't, as beautiful as Costa Rica is, you don't have to go that far. You can go right up the coast. A lot of towns along the coast have public art, beautiful sculptures, murals as well. And the Oregon Coast Visitors Association, Stacy put together a kind of an art tour map, interactive map, and you can zoom in and kind of follow the trail to art trail all up and down the coast. As you will see if you check it out, there's not a lot in Brookings, so we're hoping to make that very different.
Good,
and
yeah.
It's just going to take some time, and we're going to make it happen though.
Yeah, good. And they have that. Is that part of the one that they do in Coos Bay?
I would imagine everything up and down the coast is
on that map. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. It's fuels the imagination, the emotions. It's just all types of goodness.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot we can do with public art, and I really I think about as people come into the city and drive north of kind of a timeline, and starting with kind of the before Brookings was Brookings at the beginning, and going through the pioneer stage, and something that kind of represents logging and fishing and the wildlife that we have, and even the the World War II bombing and kind of being able to tell that story through art.
Of course.
There's a lot of history here that we want to be able to share with people.
Yeah, it's important. It's very healing.
Yeah, and it helps Brookings kind of convey an identity. We're more than just a town on the 101. There's a lot here that we can be proud of, and that we want to share with others. Right.
Instead of this, it's a special location, and how else do you detail it or describe it or show it with a masterpiece?
That's right. Or you just got to live here, and then you just learn at Fred Meyer's and talking to people in the aisles.
It's true. Please tell the listeners again the best way to communicate with you directly.
Yeah, so anyone is free to email me, Brookings Public Art. That's one word, Brookings Public Art at gmail.com. And if you want to contribute, go to GoFundMe.com/Brookings Public Art.
Phenomenal. Beautiful mission statement. Great team. Probably the best team I've ever heard of collectively.
Yes, we've got a great team, and now we're just, all about executing.
Excellent.
So we're going to make it happen.
Excellent. Well, congratulations, and thank you for the devotion and time and energy to bring this dream or this idea to fruition, to a tangible, actual project. So thank you again, Ron. We appreciate it very much. And of course, we want to give a special thank you to all the team members here that are working on the Committee on Public Arts. We want to thank Mary Stanford, Stacy Gunderson, Ron Schnearson, and also Michelle Boobert and Tim Rundell. That's quite a team for the Committee on Public Art. It's something that we all look forward to growing and being seen here in Brookings, Oregon. Thank you kindly for presenting this.
Thanks for having me, Amanda. I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate everything you do around the community. I see you all over the place doing all kinds of good work, and I notice, I'm sure a lot of people notice, and it's commendable. Thank you very much. You're an inspiration.
Hey, whatever I can do to keep happy and make sure we create that happy environment, that's what we're doing.
Wonderful.
Peaceful support.
Thank you for everything you do, and thanks for having me here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you got updates or something to say or work on or what have you, we are here with open ears. Right, listeners?
Thanks, Amanda.
Of course, Ron. Thank you so kindly.